Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today I'm going to be showing you guys this rose gold pastel beach tumbler. Now, sometimes we want a little bit more control over where our waves go and how they look. So today I'm going to show you guys how to kind of control that a little bit better so that way it turns out exactly the way you would like it to look in the end. As always, I'll make sure to put everything that I use today down in the description box below so that you guys can purchase those items if you would like to. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. Now, the tumbler that I am using today, I actually purchased through Courtney's Customs. I know you guys are probably subscribed to her channel, and I know you guys probably know that she sells tumbler blinks now, so I had to go ahead and purchase some as well. So I bought a whole case of 20-ounce skinnies from her, and that's what I'm using today. Now for the ombre that I did, because I want mine to kind of have a two-tone look to it to make it look like there's a sandbar in the middle and then the sand at the bottom. I went ahead and I used my vintage blush on the bottom and in the middle as I pointed out. Then I sprayed some just basic white, and I also used this candy pink to kind of top it off. It almost looks like a Napoleon ice cream sandwich to me. But as you guys can see, the ombre isn't perfect, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be perfect because whenever you look at a beach scene, it's not perfect. Landscape's a little bit different all around, so it's okay if it's not completely perfect. Just get it spray painted to kind of map out where you want your glitters to go, and you're good to go. I know you guys got this. But I'm going to be applying my glitters with the epoxy method today. If you don't feel comfortable with the epoxy method, then go ahead and use your Mod Podge. It doesn't matter how you apply it, just as long as you get your glitter on. There is no right or wrong when it comes to making art. So I'm going to go ahead and put a nice thin coat of my epoxy right onto my tumbler there. And the glitters that I will be using today are Gilded Rose. I will also be using Rose Opal, and I will be using Poppy. And I also have Agenda here, which is a white, and Ice. Now, those are my glitters from socglitters.com, but you guys can obviously use any glitters you already have in hand to accomplish this look. Just make sure you use a rose gold look with some pastel colors in between. Now I'm going to start with what will be the sand look on my tumbler. So I'm going to use my rose opal for that. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I just want to kind of cover some of my vintage blush there that I put on to the tumbler. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of sprinkle that on the bottom and around the middle as well. I don't want to cover it up too much because I'm going to be adding some Gilded Rose here in a second. Now, if you guys remember what I said earlier, I wanted the portion in the middle to be almost kind of like a sandbar in between the shore and the ocean. So it doesn't have to be as thick as I made mine. You can just do kind of a thinner band if you would like to. It is completely up to you. Now I'm going to take that Gilded Rose and I'm just going to line my shoreline with that Gilded Rose, all while trying to just mimic what I'm doing on the bottom with what is going on at the top. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to apply a thin band of that rose or Gilded Rose right around the rim of my rose opal. And once I have my shoreline all complete, I'm going to come through with my Agenda, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that right above the Gilded Rose there. So I'm just going to keep going right up at the top, do the same exact thing. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space for my ice and for the poppy as well. So that is how it's looking so far. Now right above my white line, I'm going to go ahead and add my ice. Now ice is very translucent, so that's why I left it white, because I want more of that blue to kind of show through. So that's why I didn't paint it blue or anything. And after I apply my ice, I'm going to finish it up with Poppy. Now, as you guys notice, I wasn't doing too much of an ombre. I kind of ombreed it a little bit up and down into each other, but it's okay that if it's not a full-on ombre, because what we do next is going to kind of cover up just a little bit of that anyways. So this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and let that cure. Again, I'm using my quick coat epoxy. So in about 6 hours, I'm going to go ahead and apply another coat of epoxy straight over this. I'm going to let that cure overnight, and then we'll be ready to move on to our waves. Okay, that coat of epoxy that I applied over top of my raw glitter is nice and cured. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and trim up the rim, make sure it's nice and smooth. I'm also going to give it a very light sanding, and then we'll be ready to add our waves. Now, the product that I'm going to be using today, or I'm going to be showing you guys today, is called Arlene's Glitter Snow. Now, I found this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I can't remember, but they also sell it on Amazon. But I bought it a couple weeks ago and I played around with it and I was trying to figure out what to do with it. And I thought this would make perfect wave caps on beach tumblers. But as you can see, it's nice and fluffy and it does have a little bit of sparkle in it. That's why it's called glitter snow, but she does sell a just plain one as well, and I think you can get a bigger jar of it too. Now I'm just using this basic flat tip brush, but you guys can obviously use anything to apply this. You could use a gloved finger, you could use a popsicle stick, whatever you guys want to do. However you want to apply it is completely up to you. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dollop of that fluffy stuff, that fluffy snow stuff on my brush, and I'm going to just kind of put it randomly around where I want my beach waves. And I'm going to take that dollop and then I'm just going to pull it back, kind of making it thick at the top and thinner at the bottom. So just pulling it back and making it look like the waves are crashing onto the shore. Now I'm going to show you guys my inspiration photo right here, and this was kind of my inspiration behind this. I really liked how that looked, and if you can see, it's whiter towards the tip and then it just kind of gets, the white caps kind of get lighter as it goes back. So that's all I'm trying to mimic when I'm applying this fake snow. Now I am holding my tumbler upside down, as you noticed. It's just easier for me this way, but I keep making sure that I flip it back around so that way the top is up. So just so that way I make sure that I'm kind of getting everything the way I would like to. But it is so simple if you accidentally mess up to just kind of wipe it away and keep on going. You don't want to wait too long to wipe anything away, so if you notice it right away, you might want to do it right away because it does kind of dry relatively quick whenever it's very thin. So here I'm just kind of flipping it, checking it, and then I'm going to keep going. And as you see, once I got my main shoreline done, I'm going to go ahead and add some more of those fake wave looks down into the blue and pink area. Now you may be wondering, could I just use acrylic paint to achieve this look? I tried acrylic paint and it really didn't have a more natural look to it, but you could obviously use white acrylic paint to do this, but I felt this was a lot more natural looking than the paint. And you may also be wondering, is this textured? And yes, it is. It does have a little bit of a texture to it. Because we're doing it kind of in thinner amounts, the texture isn't as noticeable. So once you start to apply your epoxy, that kind of smooths away, or you could leave it textured if you kind of want that look to your tumbler. But this texture does kind of go away once you apply your finishing coats of epoxy. Now that I got the middle done there, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my second shoreline. As you see, I'm going to start adding just a little bit more because I want it more pronounced at the top. Now, I do kind of wish I would have done this at the bottom as well, but it is what it is. We're going to move on, and the next one I do, I'll probably do this a little bit more like how I'm doing it right here at the bottom too. But as you guys can see, I'm actually just making these half circle shapes, and then I'm just going to come through and finish up another half circle right over top, exactly like how you would see at the beach, how they all kind of look crisscrossed and woven together. That's all you want to do. I know you guys got this. Now, after I finish up this look, I'm going to come back through and I'm just going to add a little bit more of that crisscross look through some of my other waves that I had already done. I wanted to show you a more up close look of exactly what I'm doing. I'm just swiping it down. That's all I'm doing. So I'm putting a dollop on and then I am swiping it down. That's it. Now, after I am done kind of crisscrossing a little bit more here and there and just making it look exactly the way I would like, I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. I'm going to clean off my brush first. You got to clean off your brush. You know, you don't want a crusty brush. I'm going to clean that off, but I'm going to let that dry. Now, because we applied such a thin coat of this, it only took about an hour or two. It does recommend 24 hours, but I think that's for like a super thick coat of this fake snow on something. So All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to add a little bit more texture to it by applying some inks onto those waves, but you could obviously leave it exactly as it is. It's beautiful just like this. And I mean, either way you guys want to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and apply a nice coating of my epoxy over top of my tumbler. You want to make sure that there's enough epoxy so that way what we're about to do has enough room to kind of flow and do its thing once we go to apply it. Now, as you see here, I just have my alcohol ink. It's just Pinata Blanca Blanca, just a nice white color. I'm going to add that to the rest of the epoxy I have left in my cup because I went ahead and I did some other cups as well. And I'm just using what basically was left over in there. You really don't need that much epoxy at all because we're not going to do too much. We're just adding just a little bit more extra character. Now is the time if you guys want to add any type of your favorite opal mica powders or any type of mica powders that you kind of just want to give it just a little bit more character, you can do that now as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I stirred that up really good because you want to make sure that it gets mixed in really well. Sometimes the inks want to separate from your epoxy, so you just want to make sure it's mixed in really well. Now all I'm going to do is apply my inks right around, exactly around where I did my waves. So as you guys can see, I'm not applying that much, and I'm just going to kind of place it right above my wave line. And then when I go to take my blow dryer, because I like to use a blow dryer for this, when I take my blow dryer, I'm only going to go in one direction whenever I use that, which I will show you guys here in a second. But the great thing with kind of sculpting our waves first is I know that no two sunsets are the same or no two beaches are the same, but this, you can actually kind of have control over that, and you can make your cups look a little bit more identical when doing it this way. All right, now that my inks are applied, I am going to go ahead and take my blow dryer, and as you can see, I'm just going in one direction. I'm just going up. That's it. I'm not going to come back down with it. I'm going to just keep going up onto my tumbler. Now, if you apply too much heat, it will separate your epoxy, and we don't want that. So you just want to do a couple passes until everything starts to move around, and then you just want to let it be. You want to let it do its thing. That's all you want to do. And of course, after this is all cured, I'm going to apply 2 last finishing coats of epoxy, and she is done. But see, I didn't use that much epoxy. I was just showing that to you guys. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.